Hi everyone, welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
So yesterday we looked at an online job interview. Rob was talking with Mary. Rob was trying to get a job, but they were talking over Skype.
Yeah, that's an interesting kind of modern job interview. They're in different cities or maybe even different countries.
Yep.
But the job interview started off with a few technical questions. Can you hear me? Does the camera work? Am I coming through clearly? And then it went on to your typical job interview questions, right? Like, what are you looking for?
Experience, qualifications.
That's right.
Why do you want the job kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we don't quite know what happened or whether Rob did get the job.
Oh, I think he did.
I'm sure he
seemed
did.
pretty good.
Yeah. What we do know is he saw a job advertisement. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to look at a typical job advertisement and the sort of things you'll find in it. Let's read through it and then we'll go and check what to look for and what English words we can learn from reading one.
Reading.
You have one new post at jobs101.com. Position, title, English editor. Hours, contract. Full-time position, 40 hours a week, 1-year contract with possibility of extension. Wage, 35,000 NT dollars per month plus extras. Posted on February 25th, 2017. Closing date, March 14th, 2017. Primary role, to assist in the preparation of English language college textbooks and test books. Details. As an English editor, you will report to the chief editor of the department. Your team will work together on various textbook projects. You will help in the preparation of all English language materials, including reading passages, tests, and practice exercises. You will also review other editors' work and check for mistakes. Qualifications. College degree. A degree in languages is desirable but not necessary. Previous experience is also preferred but not necessary. Necessary skills. Must be fluent in English, both written and spoken. Must have a good eye for detail and the ability to meet deadlines. Must be able to use Microsoft Office and have reasonable computer skills. How to apply. Send your resume and a short cover letter to chief.editor@amc.com.tw. So this article isn't like a long reading passage where we have full sentences and paragraphs.
Oh, okay.
There are some of those, but what we're looking at is a typical ad, which sometimes will just use a lot of short sentences or even just short words.
So we want lots of information in a small space.
So we can see from the start, it says position/title, which means the position or title of the job.
What your job is called.
Yeah, what the job is. And the job title is English editor.
Okay.
So an editor, E-D-I-T-O-R, editor, is, in this case, a person whose job it is to check mostly written material, either to remove errors, to check the facts, but also to improve the content. To kind of read through something, could be a newspaper article, could be a book, could be anything else like that, and just kind of go, hey, this isn't quite right, or I think this is too long, or oh, there's a spelling mistake there, and things like that, just to kind of really improve the quality of it so it's ready for being published. Basically, it's what I do.
Oh,
yeah, it's what I do upstairs working with these magazines. So we could say the editor worked closely with the author on the story he was writing. So authors need an editor to make sure that they're not making any mistakes or their story is as good as it can be. It's like having a second person to look at it and check it through when you're tired from writing it so much.
Or it's like having an English teacher at your job.
Yeah, just kind of supporting
checks your homework
you.
again
making
and
sure
again.
The spelling is okay. Like, oh, you've used this word a lot. Maybe you should change one.
So there you go, kids. You'll never get away from your teachers. They'll just become your editors in some way. All right. Well, that's important to know, right? The job that you're going for, an English editor, is this job ad. And let's get some other important information. Hours/contract. So basically how long you'll be expected to work. And it says full-time position. So there you go. It's full-time. So that means morning, afternoon, 5 days a week. That should work out to around 40 hours a week. Monday to Friday, about 8 hours a day. That's about right. 1 year contract with possibility of extension. A contract is basically a legal document that you will sign, your boss will sign, and it will guarantee you a certain amount of work, and you will promise to be there for a certain amount of time. If you change the contract, you might have to pay or lose money or something like that. So basically, if you get the job, you have a guaranteed job for 1 year, and there's a possibility of an extension. An extension is taking something that has run out of time and adding extra time to it. So, for example, if you have a book from the library that you haven't finished, you might go and get an extension. We call that a renewal, but it basically means they're adding time to the amount of time that you were given earlier. All right? So an extension on a contract would say, hey, you worked really well for 1 year. Do you want to work with us for another year? And there's your extension. There's your extra time. For example, we could say after 6 months in this apartment, I asked for a contract extension so I could continue living there. All right, a contract extension or a lease extension. To spell this word, it's E-X-T-E-N-S-I-O-N. E-X-T-E-N-S-I-O-N. That's your extension.
Okay, the next part of the ad or advertisement is the wage.
Money!
Very important, the money.
How much money am I going to get?
Well, here it says 35,000 NT dollars a month plus extras. Okay,
Ooh,
we don't know what
extras.
those are. It could be year-end bonuses or something. That's
Free hamburgers every Wednesday.
Yeah, something to discuss when you go for the interview. But let's look at that word wage.
Okay.
Wage is W-A-G-E, wage, and it's the amount of money a person is paid for a fixed period of work. So it could be a daily wage, an hourly wage, a monthly wage, an annual wage. Different companies will organize this in a different way. They will either tell you how much per month, or if you're in a kind of a shorter temporary service job, it's maybe per hour, something like that. So it's basically how much you get paid. Your salary is another way to say it. Wage or salary, S-A-L-A-R-Y, salary. So we could say the factory workers went on strike because they felt their wages were too low and they wanted more money.
Oh, okay, right. They want higher pay or more wages. And then we have some other information here that's useful if you're interested in the job. It says posted on February 25th, 2017, closing date March 14th, 2017. So if you're the kind of person looking for a job, you might want to be one of the first people to get your name in there, to get your resume or to apply for the job. So you might want to get your name in soon after the job is posted or the ad is put up there on the internet. And the closing date, basically it's telling you have about 3 weeks to get your name to us. We're not going to be looking for people forever. We're going to take the first people that we get. There's 3 weeks to get your life organized and get your job application in, because after March 14th, hopefully they'll have someone. The job won't be available anymore.
Okay, then the advertisement goes on to talk a bit more about the job. It says primary role. So this is basically, primary role means what you're there to do, what job you're there to do.
Because we know it's an English editor, but that could mean a lot of things.
It could.
English editor for a novel company or a magazine or a newspaper or scientific journals. Very different type of work.
So we could also say job details here.
Job description.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it is to assist in the preparation of English language college textbooks and test books. So writing books, writing test books, and so on, and preparing them.
So we won't be editing the new J.K. Rowling novels.
I'm afraid not.
We won't be editing the morning newspaper or anything like that.
No.
Stuff that students will use in school. Okay.
Exactly. Preparation is a noun. It's spelled Preparation. Preparation. And preparation is the act of preparing something or making it ready to be sold or eaten or used and so on. For example, we could say food preparation involves washing, cutting, and cooking food in a number of different ways.
All right. And there's more details under details. Details are like extra and more specific, more accurate information. It says, as an English editor, you will report to the chief editor of the department. So who you will report to is also another way of saying your boss. Your boss will be the chief editor if you are a lower English editor.
Yep. We could say, for example, all of the managers at the company report to the CEO. So workers report to managers and managers report to the CEO. There's kind of like a chain. Next, the details go on to say your team will work together on various textbook projects. Okay, so that kind of explains exactly which bits of the job you'll do. So you'll be part of a team working on textbooks.
All right. Very interesting. I guess you should know a little bit about the subjects too, right? If you're
well, we'll see when we get to the requirements for the job.
Okay. You will help, it says, in the preparation of all English language materials, including reading passages, tests, and practice exercises. So basically anything you can imagine being in a textbook, being in a school book, all of the reading passages, all of the little tests, all of the little practice exercises you would do for homework. The editors have to prepare and oversee all of that stuff. What is a passage? Well, this noun, it's spelled P-A-S-S-A-G-E, P-A-S-S-A-G-E. It's basically a printed part of the book. It's basically writing. All right, so if you're reading a story in a book, that's a passage. If you're reading a story in a newspaper, that's a passage as well. It could be a few sentences, it could be many paragraphs, but it's basically some reading on a specific topic. For example, this passage refers to the difference between whales and dolphins. That's what you'll learn from reading this part of the book, this passage.
And the details finish by saying you will also review other editors' work and check for mistakes. Very important part of it, okay? You want to rely on multiple sets of eyes. So then we get on to qualifications, the next kind of subheading. Qualifications are something that makes you suitable for a job. We could also use the word to mean a requirement that must be met in order to get something. For example, you could ask, what qualifications do you need to become a doctor? Well, quite a few. A medical degree for one, and lots of experience in hospitals and with patients and so on. So what are the qualifications for this job?
Well, the first one it says is college degree. And then it tells us a degree in languages is desirable but not necessary. So a college or a university degree, the degree is the actual piece of paper that you would get for passing all of your classes in college and leaving successfully. But we also talk about that just being as your educational level. And a degree in languages is desirable, it says, but not necessary. Yeah, you might see that in a job ad. So knowing or having studied languages in university, like English, would be great, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. If you're just quite smart or something like that, or just a really good writer, they'll still hire you, but they would rather have someone who studied languages in college. It's desirable. Desirable is spelled D-E-S-I-R-A-B-L-E. D-E-S-I-R-A-B-L-E. It's an adjective, and basically it means something that people want, something that is wanted by many people, something that is attractive to many people. For example, you might say that a seat in the middle section of the airplane is not as desirable as a seat by the window. Most people would like to sit by the window because they can look out the window, and sitting in the middle of the plane, that's not so desirable because you're kind of squashed in and you can't stand up so easily. So something that people want is something that is desirable. For example, this dating website allows you to list the things you find desirable in a partner, some of the things that you might want.
The article then adds, previous experience is also preferred, but not necessary. So it's great if you've got it, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not necessary. You don't have to have it. What is necessary, however, is mentioned in the next section. Necessary skills must be fluent in English, both written and spoken. So you've got to be able to read English well and speak English well. Okay, read and write, speaking and listening, it's all there. And you've got to be fluent. Fluent is spelled F-L-U-E-N-T, fluent, and it means able to not communicate, not only clearly, but also well. Okay, so in a clear way, but also in a detailed way, not just simple English, but kind of in a just overall great communication skills. And when we're talking about languages, we often refer to the ability to speak or understand a foreign language well. However, I have to say I've lived in Taiwan for over 8 years, but I'm still not a fluent Chinese speaker.
Practice makes perfect, so just keep at it. And it also adds, you must have a good eye for detail and the ability to meet deadlines. Well, a good eye for detail means you won't make mistakes, you'll notice any little problem and you'll fix that problem, okay? And the ability to meet deadlines. A deadline is a time when the work must be finished by. So you're the kind of person who works efficiently, who keeps their eye on the clock, who knows when the work should be done, and they won't say, I'll do it next week. No, it has to be done this week. So if you can manage your time very well and you can notice little mistakes, those are two very good and useful skills.
Okay, the article also says must be able to use Microsoft Office, so that's Word and Excel and some of those programs, and have reasonable computer skills.
Okay.
Reasonable means good, pretty acceptable, satisfactory skills. You don't have to be the best, but you've got to be decent. You've got to be fairly good at computers.
Yeah.
They can't be a complete mystery to you.
Okay.
So you could also say, I don't mind spending a reasonable amount of money on something I want. You know, I'll pay a decent amount. I'll pay quite a bit if I really want it, as long as it's reasonable, as long as it's not kind of too over the top.
All right, so there's all of the most important information about the job. So if you've read all that and you still think you want the job, you think you can meet all of these qualifications or meet all of these requirements, then how to apply? How do you actually get your name in there and say, yes, choose me, I want this job? Well, you send your resume and a short cover letter to chief.editor@amc.com.tw. So basically you'll create an email or a file and attach it to an email, and that will be your resume. Your resume, yeah, it's also called a CV. CV is short for curriculum vitae. If you really want to spell that, that's curriculumvitae. Curriculum vitae. What a long word. Why don't we shorten it? Good idea. Let's call it a CV. Great idea. Or let's also call it a resume. What is it? It's basically a very short record of your working life. It might have your education on there too, especially university and things like that. It might have a bit of information about you personally, your hobbies, your pastimes, but most of it is spent on sort of recording your jobs, when you worked at one company, when you quit that company, what you did at that company. So it gives the people trying to hire you an idea of your working life, your working history, your background. So that's one thing, and the cover letter is also important.
Yeah, your cover letter is sometimes more important than a resume.
Really?
Because that will explain who you are, why you want this job, and why you believe you are perfect for it.
So that's a bit more personal.
Yeah, your resume isn't going to change a great deal from different job applications, but your cover letter really has to, because that's got to sell you and say why you're perfect for this job. So that's the one you do right completely new each time. We could do a whole lesson on resumes and cover letters, but right now we need to go to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
The question is, where would you look if you wanted to find a new job? Where do you look? Where do you find these ads? LinkedIn, the website LinkedIn is one. In Taiwan, 104.
104.com
is
very popular.
You can find them in newspapers.
Do they still have job ads in newspapers?
They do. Yeah, certainly online. Not as many as they used to.
I think a lot of it has moved online. Another place is Ask Your Friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the best jobs you might find would be through personal connections, through personal networking. You never know when a friend of yours or even a friend of theirs might be working at a company that's looking for people. But basically, just get yourself out there. Don't give up hope. You'll get some rejections. You'll get some no's. But if you keep knocking on enough doors, eventually you'll find a job. Maybe not the perfect job, but something you can build on. That's for sure. But the key is, I'd say, don't give up.
Okay, well, that's good advice, but we're out of time for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. For English for You, I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
Bye-bye. You have one new post at jobs101.com. Position, title, English editor. Hours, contract. Full-time position, 40 hours a week, 1-year contract with possibility of extension. Wage, 35,000 NT dollars per month plus extras. Posted on February 25th, 2017. Closing date, March 14th, 2017. Primary role, to assist in the preparation of English language college textbooks and test books. Details. As an English editor, you will report to the chief editor of the department. Your team will work together on various textbook projects. You will help in the preparation of all English language materials, including reading passages, tests, and practice exercises. You will also review other editors' work and check for mistakes. Qualifications. College degree. A degree in languages is desirable but not necessary. Previous experience is also preferred but not necessary. Necessary skills. Must be fluent in English, both written and spoken. Must have a good eye for detail and the ability to meet deadlines. Must be able to use Microsoft Office and have reasonable computer skills. How to apply. Send your resume and a short cover letter to chief.editor@amc.com.tw.
Vocabulary Review.
Editor. Martin works as an editor for one of the local newspapers. Wage. Many companies try to compete for experienced workers by increasing wages. Preparation. I think I didn't get that job because I didn't do enough preparation for the interview. Passage. Please read the passage and answer the questions about it on your answer sheet. Desirable. Linda thinks that it's desirable to live close to her office, but not absolutely necessary. Fluent. Rob has worked in France for the past 6 years, so he's fluent in French.